What's going on, everybody? Toby1 Shinobi here, and today I'm going to show you how to win more end games in Fortnite Zero Build, especially in the OG season, because the OG season is very tricky in the end game. There often is not a lot of cover. The map was not built for Zero Build. There's usually not very many heals. You usually go to the end game hurt, and usually you don't have very much utility left. A lot of players don't have very much utility for you if you eliminate them, so things are hard, right? It's kind of like every end game, you kind of feel like you're in shambles unless you do things right beforehand. And we're going to talk about that quite a bit, the strategy of endgame, making sure that you don't take a lot of damage and making sure that you come out on top. So let's get into it. Oh, actually, before we do get into it, leave a comment down below. What is the thing that you struggle with in the endgame the most, or how are you dying the most in the endgame? Love to hear about it. Maybe we can help you out. All right, now let's get into the video. What we're doing here is we're going to watch over some gameplay of these end games, and I'm just going to walk you through the tips and tricks that I'm using and kind of what's going on in my head to win these end game scenarios. Okay, so right now we're at the Salty Springs Rift, and we're going to hit this rift, and then we're going to rotate into one of the final circles. Now, before you ever hit a rift or hit a jump pad, you need to know exactly where you're going before you get into the air, right? Because if you get into the air and then you're trying to figure out where you're going, there's a good chance you're going to get shot at, you're going to be stressed out, and you're not going to land in a good spot, which is absolutely going to end your game, because you'll have like 3 or 4 people shooting at you and you don't have a place to go because you didn't have it in mind ahead of time, right? Now, here are some fundamental tips about rotations in endgame, right? Number 1, there is a slow side and a fast side of zone. So you see the circle that we're moving into here and the storm circle. Well, there's a big old gap between the storm circle and this next circle, right? That is going to move a lot faster on this side than this side, because this only has to go like, you know, a couple 100 feet or whatever to get to this edge. So this is the slow side of zone right here, these back sides, and then this is the fast side. So if you're rotating and you don't know where people are and you're trying to figure out the terrain, you always want to be rotating through the slow side, because it's a lot less dangerous than having like a very fast moving storm at your back where you're taking a bunch of damage, you're stressed out, and then you got 3 or 4 people in front of you shooting at you or being potential hazards to move through. So slow side is good, it's safer, it's easier. So I'm looking at slow side as a rotation to get in. And now the next thing that's really important is dead side of zone. Okay, so you got a slow side, a fast side, and then you also got a dead side of zone, we call it. A dead side is where the least amount of players are probably at. So you can see that this is the coast right here, and then pretty like dead POIs, at least in the end game, right? Not many people hang around Paradise Palm or Lucky Landing in the end game. Most people end up landing there in the beginning of the game, everyone moves to center, and then they come back out. So the majority of people were around the center of the map or the north part of the map, and they're like basically rotating the same that I am, probably from like the west or the north, right? Not a lot of people come from south. So dead side is towards the water here. So ideally, this right here is about the best spot we can be, because it's got the dead side here, so not a lot of people coming up behind us, and we've got the zone to our back, right? The storm to our back, so no one can really sneak up behind us. So that's what we're looking at, and you see me mark that. Yeah, that's where we're going. Now we know where we're going. We're gonna hit this rift, and we start going, right? And I will say that on the OG map, right, there are these natural rifts all over the map. You can find them through the mountains. The first time someone uses them, they disappear, but they're still there. But they're really, really hard to find because they're like in the air. You have to jump around to find it. A lot of times it takes quite a bit of work to actually find it, quite a bit of time. The one in Salty Springs is actually in this blue house. It's like a whitish blue house. Color of the house is like this. It's kind of like northwest of Salty Springs. And there is a rift in the bottom of it at all times, and it's always visible. It's in the shower. Now you do have to break out the floor of like the basement. Like it looks like there's a basement, and then you break out the floor of that basement, and then there's a secret basement down there. You run down the stairs. I'm actually just checking this because I think that rats might be hiding in here. Just double checking the corners, making sure we're safe. And then we drop down basically, and then the rift is in this bathroom right ahead of us right here. So just so you know. So rifts are really important anytime in end game scenarios. You always want to know where these rotational abilities are, jump pads, rifts, because those are really, really helpful to get across zones and avoid fights, right? Not get in the middle of like a fight and not be able to get out. You want to be basically maneuver around fights, okay? That is what we're using here, and we're going to start maneuvering ourselves to the safest point of zone that we can find, potentially with the biggest advantage, right? Now, as we approach our spot that we marked, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this does not look like a place that I want to put down my roots. Has no roof here. Like, it's very dangerous. There might already be somebody hiding in there. And, you know, I'm just not like feeling that great about the general area of this spot right here. This house doesn't look very good to play off of either. The roof is basically non-existent and I'm not feeling great about it. So I'm looking for better spots. Now I see this, right? And that is great. That is hard cover right there. Natural terrain that cannot be broken. And it's like 2 or 3 stories high. So it's very good for like seeing the rest of the players and avoiding damage. So that is now my number 1 spot. So now I'm going to start rotating that while I'm checking my back here to make sure that nobody's going to shoot me in the back or nobody's rotating behind me as I'm coming in here. And I'm also checking areas like this because this looks like a rat's nest. I'm feeling like somebody's probably there. And now we're going to try to set up. Okay, so somebody's here, which is not surprising because this is probably the best spot in zone right now. And there are 8 players left. So myself and 7 others are still alive. There's a very good chance someone's here. So we're going to go ahead and fight them. Use a rocket launcher, and notice that we are trying to do our very best to not take damage in this fight. And that is like my maybe 3rd or 4th tip or whatever. This is very, very important in endgame. Try to take as little amount of damage as possible in every single fight because there's a very good chance that 1, you're not going to have heals, and 2, you're going to get third party. So if I take a massive amount of damage here and I lose some green health, I'm not going to be able to get that green health back because I'm not going to be able to find heals, and another party might come in after all the gunshots and want to kill me. So you got to really focus up in these end games and really try to take as little amount of damage in every fight as possible. So I'm using that cover and ends up he hits me with another bullet. So he hit me with like 2 bullets to the chest there. Not the end of the world. Fortunately, he has health right there. So we think we're going to pick up the chug jug. Then we see that he also has shield pots, which is like, oh, wonderful. Let's take the shield pot because that's going to be quicker. Because again, in my mind, there's 6 other people in the lobby right now that heard that fight go off that are probably thinking about this spot right now because like, oh, that looks advantageous and they want this spot. So we got to hurry up, get our loot, and get to high ground. So that's the objective. And notice that I went back to carrying minis. There's only 1 shield pot here. Even if there were 2 shield pots here, I probably wouldn't pick them up because minis are quick heals. Quick heals are very, very important in endgame or in situations where you've got enemies close to you. They're very good for combat heals because you can pop them in 2 seconds and then get back to fighting, pop another one in 2 seconds, fight some more, right? Where if you're stuck drinking a chug jug for 15 seconds and somebody's pushing you, you're pretty much dead. If you're drinking a shield pot for 5 seconds and somebody's close to you pushing onto you, you're probably dead too. So I like to carry minis in the end game, and I just recommend fast heals in the end game. And if they got splashes in the current season, go for those because those are always quick and heal health and shields, which is wonderful. In the current meta, we don't have anything that heals shields and health. Okay, so now what you're going to see me doing is basically just scanning. I'm scanning my environment, and this is my next big tip is know where all of the enemies are at in the circle. Do your best to figure out where everyone's at. Information about your enemy location is power in the end game. If you know where everyone's at, you can navigate the zone much safer and you know you can take certain fights, right? So yeah, we're basically just scouting here. I'm checking my right over here and then I drop down and I start checking the left. So I'm just trying to make sure no one to my left and right is coming at me. And then I know that my back is clear because that's Storm, right? And that's the reason that we moved to this spot is because we have Storm at our back. And we know that a lot of players are not going to be rotating from this side because it's also dead side. We're in a really good spot and we just want to make sure that nobody else gets in our bubble. And that is another thing I'll mention is once you have your good spot, you want to make sure that nobody enters that territory, right? Nobody gets in your bubble, your territory. You want to keep people out of your territory, shoot them, put some damage on them, let others third party them, but don't let them get in your bubble. Do your very best to keep people out of your bubble because you do not want people taking your spot. Okay, now here's another really important thing. Basically, we're scanning, we're trying to get as much information as we can. Gunshots are very, very revealing and have a lot of information to them, right? The type of gunshots going off, the amount of gunshots going off, their direction, right? So I'm looking at my compass right now. I see one set. And that sounds like 2 pairs of gunshots. I can hear shotguns going off and ARs, and no one is faking that, right? That guy is in a full fight. So that's definitely 2 players, at least, right there. Okay, and one of them died. So now there are 4 other players and myself, 5 total. So I know where another player is. He's over by that barn. He just eliminated someone. And now there's 3 others that I have not accounted for. Now, when I first came in here, I saw this little rat's nest forest over here, which I'm like 99% sure somebody's in there because people love that kind of stuff. Just hiding in the bushes and hiding in the trees. So it's a very good chance somebody's over there. I just marked it. And then we see a guy over here. So that might be the same guy. I think that's the same guy that finished that fight, judging by the way that he's kind of running and trying to get into zone. So we're gonna put some pressure on him, but we're not gonna like get overcommitted. We're not super focused. And that is another really important thing with endgame. You cannot get committed to killing someone. You have to protect yourself at all costs. So therefore you're putting some damage on them, and then you're looking around and making sure that nobody's sneaking up on you. Your life is the most important thing. It doesn't matter about getting kills in the end game. You know, you can win with 1 kill and you'll be happy, right? The victory is the victory, especially in Fortnite OG. Like, people sneak up. You gotta be very careful. So I'm looking around, I'm checking my edges, and just making sure nobody's sneaking up on me. And now I'm going to start shooting out trees. And this can be very helpful in endgame as well. It's just clearing out your horizon so that you have a nice open field to shoot at. And now we're taking a couple shots here. And again, we're trying to avoid taking as much damage as we can. We're still trying to clear this cover, but we want to stay basically healthy. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm just taking hip fire jump shots. And again, we're playing safe. We want to know where everyone's at. We don't want to get too committed to engagements. Or take some shots at this guy, but also just keep looking around, make sure that we're not going to get sniped or third-partied, whatever. And now we're going to start taking out this cover, right? Okay, so I have a gold rocket launcher, and that is something that it's an oversight at this point. I should be using that gold rocket launcher like crazy right now to take out these trees, to take out that guy's cover, to put pressure on him so that other players start shooting at him and he becomes like the center of attention, right? So I could definitely be doing a better job, but it is what it is, right? I could send a rocket in right now and clear out this guy's cover. Instead, I'm basically just going to grief it with bullets. Somebody else is shooting at him now, or he's shooting at somebody else. So now I know the location of another player. It looks like it was gunshots were going this way. So it seems that he's shooting somebody over here. So that is 2 players that I am aware of now. There are still 2 others. And that is just really important to know, right? Like, I know where 2 are, but I don't know where the other 2 are. And that's the thing that's going to get me killed, is not knowing where the other 2 are. So we got to figure that out. I'm going to keep putting pressure on this guy because he's the only one I can see. And if I put enough pressure on him and I take out his cover, then hopefully the other guys are going to shoot at him and we can learn where they're located. So that's the reason that I'm kind of being aggressive here, because I've got the best spot and I just want to put pressure on people and just like make them fight each other. Just send them into other players and try not to take damage myself while doing it, right? So I'm kind of doing it safe here. Got this wall to my right. And I'm just going to keep tagging this guy and just making his life just awful. Okay, so another guy just got killed. So this guy killed somebody else. Now there are 4 total players and myself, or 3 total players and myself, for a total of 4. And now we're going to go ahead and check out what happened, right? I'm looking around for piles of loot, something that tells a story about what happened, and I'm not seeing it. So we're just going to keep putting pressure on this guy, and hopefully somebody's going to shoot him. We're trying not to be like too stagnant. We don't want to get shot by a sniper. We're going to go ahead and finish that kill. And now we see the other one. And we're going to start griefing that. But we also know that there's still 1 other player that we have not accounted for. And that's crazy because we saw this guy move across the zone. We saw this guy fight him. So now I'm getting a little concerned. Like, wait, this guy must be under me, right? He's got to be on my side of the map because he would have shot this guy in the back over here. Or he would have shot this guy going across the zone. Something's going on. And I'm not the most excited about it. So I'm kind of just playing slow here. I want to listen for footsteps. I don't hear any, so I'm just going to keep kind of griefing, but I'm not going to like be fully committed to killing this guy. Okay, now he's just being really dumb and just running out in the open. And this guy's still not shooting him. The other guy's still not shooting him, which tells me that yes, this guy is very close to me and we need to get this over with quick and then start looking for him. Okay, so by the way, this is like an early ranked game, so these players aren't the best, but at least that guy was not the smartest with his movements. He like ran out for a crown and died. But so you can see I'm looking around, right? I got my rocket launcher out. I know that somebody's here. They've got to be, because there's no other place that they would be and not be shooting at those players. Okay, so right there, you hear a rift go off. He rifts. And now I instantly know he's going to be above my head. I'd like to get a little bit into the zone and then just start putting as much damage on him as possible, because I want to have as much damage on him before he touches the ground as possible, right? So we're just laying down fire, trying to damage him. I don't know why he's not diving, to be honest. This guy should have been diving a while ago. He's just getting more hurt the longer he stays up in the air, right? There's no other players to distract, so I don't know why in a 1v1 he's doing that. But as you can see, we just did about 100 damage total to him, and now we push because, you know, we got a health advantage, and we almost sell it right there. Jumping into that. We hit him with a nice rocket. and then we finish with the shotgun. That's a win right there, basically just off of good positioning and not being an easy target and clearing our back and rotating well. And then from there, it was just like an easy game, right? If you have good positioning and good rotations and you've cleared your back, the game becomes very easy in the end game. If you don't, then the game's very hard because you have to account for all these variables that you're just not sure about. Other players and their equipment, and you know, if you can rotate to this spot, or you know, the fact that you have to rotate across the zone because you didn't pull zone. You got to get to zone early, you got to find a good position, you got to try to keep people off your back and your sides. And if they are on your back and your sides, then you have to play a very slow game and you have to play very safe, because again, you're not going to get heals in most cases. If you get into a fight and you get really hurt, you're probably not getting back up to full health, and everyone knows where you're at. So if you're in the middle of everyone, it's probably best to play stealth in this season because there's not a lot of crazy mobility that can get you across the zone quickly, and there's not a lot of crazy heals that are going to get your green and your blue back up. All right, so now let's just go into the next video. Really quickly, I do want to talk about equipment. Going into the end game, the equipment that you're looking at, right? Going into this end game, I was in a fantastic spot. I have 14 grapples, 12 rockets, full heals on minis, and an AR, a good AR, and a good shotgun. That is super ideal. I usually rock a 2-gun loadout, which is an AR and a shotgun. That's really all you need for pretty much every engagement. A bonus is a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher. Now, grenade launchers this season and rocket launchers are really, really overpowered because you can just spam people's cover, and there's such little cover on this map that you basically take out someone's cover and now they're just kind of screwed, right? They have to move, which is great for you because that pushes them into another player. They're not going to come straight at you after they just got hurt, right? They just want to go somewhere else, and they're going to run into other players. That'll reveal their location, etc., etc. So griefing people's cover, griefing people with rockets and grenade launchers yourself while staying safe yourself. These guns allow you to do that. You know, you just take one shot or you just spam a couple grenades, go back to cover. Very much allow you to do that and can be very powerful. Now, if you don't see those things, then I recommend carrying bunkers or another set of mobility. So you could run bunkers and this grappler, or you could run shockwaves and this grappler and heals. And I do recommend carrying heals into the end game. In most cases. In some cases, you just have to make the hard decision to drop your heals when the numbers are very low. There's only like 3 people left or something, and you can be really sure that you're not going to get in that second to last fight. Then you can drop your heals and just play a very safe game if the inventory that you're picking up is worth it, right? So we'll probably talk about that in a bit. Okay, so now here is the next thing. And again, you'll see I have a 3-gun loadout going into this. This sniper right here, not necessary. So probably should have another piece of equipment. I mean, snipers are great if people are standing still, and solos they can be good, but in most cases people are not just standing still out in the open doing nothing. And I will usually drop a sniper in the end game because it's just better to have like equipment. You want to save your life rather than, you know, focusing so much on taking other people's lives. So really quick, we just marked the best position that we can think of in zone, or one of the best. Now I'm looking at that now and I'm thinking I just marked a pretty hot spot. So the zone dead side is over here, right? So we learned about dead side. There's not going to be very many people on this side of the zone. Nobody's rotating from over here, right? Nobody's coming from this side. Everyone's coming from the south basically on this map. So everyone's pushing the same way I am. I'd love to get across zone if I can over here and play that. So I'm looking at that, and I marked this structure because it's the only structure that I know over there, and I'm kind of using it as a reference point to look at. And then I'm basically just going to work towards it, but I'm also going to look at the terrain around it as we go there. So we get on a quad, and we opened up a care package over here, a loot drop, loot crate, whatever it's called. We see a bush. We're looking for heals here because we're kind of going into the end game hurt. Somebody took a snipe at us. That's great information. Or somebody took a shot at us. Now we know 1 player is over there, right? There's 4 total. So that's 1 of 3 enemies. That's really, really good that he revealed himself there and didn't hurt us. That's nice. Now we're going to run out here and we're going to drop our sniper, or we should drop our sniper, but we don't really have time to go through everything. We need those heals. Ooh, this is awkward. Yeah, okay, so we did drop our sniper, good. And we got our minis, but we almost got fried right there. I probably should have just dropped my stuff first and then grabbed, and I don't know, hard to say. It's easier, hindsight's 20/20. But now we know where that player is. There's 2 others. This guy's still shooting at us. We're just kind of managing our inventory. And we're looking towards zone to see if anyone's moving. Oh, as you can see right here, where my mouse is, I see a moving player, and now he's just standing still, pretending to be a bush. We're gonna put some shots on him. Okay, so now we know where 2 players are. That's good. And now we're going to keep rotating slow side of zone. Look at the mini-map here. This is slow, right? So this is pretty safe to rotate like this, to kind of just make sure, wrap around this edge. No one's here. We're checking. that no one's here. And now we know that people on our back are non-existent, right? So now we can turn towards zone, and there's another player in a bush right there. Cool. So there's that player. There's another player there. So that's definitely 2, maybe all 3. And so now we're thinking maybe we can move into this hotel because that's in zone. Part of it's in zone. And so now that's going to be our next objective. And we're going to come in here probably pretty safe. We're going to creep. Okay, a Porta Fortress just went up over there. And basically we're creeping in here. And I'll fast forward a little bit, but I'm basically marking out the next best spot on zone here, which is looking like that high ground over there for me. Since I don't have bunkers or anything, I'd like to be on high ground. And that's kind of the initial objective right now. Okay, so we see bunkers right there. Do we pick them up? We think about it, but we're also checking these buildings. Okay. And now we're just looking towards zone. And with 3 other enemies out there, I just want them to fight. I want to know where they're at. I want them to get hurt before I really push in. So in this case, because I showed up late, I can't get a nice position early. I'm just going to play the zone, and I'm going to play slow on the edge of zone until people fight. I'll keep fast forwarding. Zone's coming in, and I make a hard decision here, and we grab the bunker. We drop our heals, like I said earlier. Okay, so someone just died right there. So that means there's 2 other enemies left, and I pretty much know where they're at. I'm going to go ahead and drop my heals because I really want to keep this rift in case the terrain is so bad that I need to get up to high ground quick or across the map or whatever. The rift to go can really help because this terrain that I just saw on the map is all hills and like very open, and that's what I'm concerned about. So that's why I went back and I grabbed that bunker because I know that there's not a lot of cover out there and I don't want to get stuck out in the open. So I have 2 options now with my rift to go and my bunker, which is really, really helpful in the end game to have these items, right? These could save your life very easily. So I see this guy griefing that tree, which is like, okay, so 1 player's there, maybe another player's over here to the right, because why is he shooting that tree? He might just be trying to get rid of cover, look for people, but I'm going to rotate over here. Oh, there we go. Cool. Now we know where both players are, and I think this person must have heard me because they just shockwaved out. That's great for me. I'm going to keep an eye on this guy, and again, I'm playing slow. I'm not trying to take any damage right now because I have no shields. I'm not carrying any health, so I need to be very careful about my engagements. Still looking at that tower, okay, and it looks like this guy is just sitting over here, and he's like easy. Now, the reason that I shoot at this guy is because if I shoot at this guy, he's going to have to get a new angle, and it's very likely the other guy is going to shoot him, right? Everyone saw him shock over here. Maybe he has shocks again. Maybe he'll relocate. Either way, it's good for me. If I can land some nice, easy damage and make him move, that's best case scenario for me. There he goes. He shockwaves away. And now we've got potentially, yep, a third party. So we're moving up on this guy. And boom, we get to shoot him in the back for 100. We're going to play this piece of cover. We're going to throw down that porta fort because you got to burn your equipment. Just don't be stingy about using your equipment in endgame. When there's only 2 players left, save your own life. You don't want to get shot by somebody else, right? Take this one-on-one really quick. Tries to boogie me, but didn't work. That guy's got a grenade launcher. That's kind of trouble. So now we need to focus him. We're just going to play, and we're just watching him. We know that we got him pretty hurt earlier, but we need to keep an eye on him and his grenade launcher. Oh, and he sneaks past us. Sneaky little devil. Okay. Now we need to throw that other bunker right away because he's got a grenade launcher. He could easily kill us. And that's what I'm talking about, these grenade launchers and these rocket launchers in endgame. They're very, very good because you can spam people like this and you can just get wins from like breaking people's cover because they don't have a lot of options, right? If I didn't have another bunker here, very likely this guy wins the game because he hits me with 2 or 3 grenades or just, you know, gets me 1 shot and then he pushes up and I'm dead. But I had another bunker, and it's a really good thing that I picked up these bunkers before I left. Otherwise, I think I'll lose this game. And boom, that's all she wrote. So, because we had 2 bunkers there, we win the game. Equipment, positioning, rotations, that's what endgame is all about. I hope you're picking that up, okay? So, you got to think about the terrain that you're going into and the equipment that you're bringing into it. If it's really open terrain like this, you really want to be looking for like porta forts or like cover, you know? I'm like really happy that I grabbed the bunkers, went back for the bunkers because I needed them in the end. Okay, so now we're in another game. It's a duos game with my partner here, Hasta La Vista, aka Bobard Bulldozer, aka Who's That Noisy? You've probably seen him on the channel before or in the chat, but yeah, lifelong friend, one of my best friends and my duo partner. So we were playing duos game and there's 7 players left, 4 total teams. Now you can see the total teams by looking in the parentheses. That tells you how many teams are left in the game. If you do a little math, then you know exactly like what the teams compose of, right? In most cases. So we know that there's 4 teams and 7 players. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 1 is 7. So that means there's 1 team out there that has a solo, but the rest are healthy duos. 3 duos and a solo. So now we're looking at the map again, and we got to move. move. And I'm looking at this rotation right now. I'm looking at like how we can move to what looks like the best position right here without getting creamed by everyone that's on these high hills, right? So again, this is super important in end games. Rotations, positioning are very important. We're showing up late again, so we got to figure out a way to get safely into zone and possibly find a spot, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that is still kind of the best spot, but we don't want to just go straight through zone. And that goes for every single end game, even like fairly large circles. You don't want to go through the middle. You want to go to the sides because you don't have the entire zone looking at you if you're going to the side. If you go through the very middle of zone with a rift or whatever you're doing, you're probably going to get shot from the left and the right. If you go to one side, you're just going to get shot from the left or the right, you know, just one side, not two. Okay. So that's really important. And also, again, we're rotating slow side. That's super helpful because if you don't know where everyone's at and everyone's got nice secure positions, you don't want to like have to rush through and get shot by a billion guys as you try to figure out a plan on the go. Oh, and we fall off a bridge right here and take a massive amount of damage, and that's a real big problem. Okay, so we're looking at this Porta Fortress, and since I just lost a bunch of health, I can't drop my minis, and I really don't want to drop these Porta Rifts or these rifts because the place we're going has a lot of high ground, and we have no idea what we're going into. These Rift to Goes are really, really helpful. Don't really want to drop them. I can't drop my shotgun, and I can't drop my AR. The only other thing I could drop is my grappler, and that's not happening because the grappler is just too important in close range fights and repositioning, right? And I know that I'm going to like some high mountain spots, so I'm keeping my stuff. He's going to throw down the Porta Fort and just kind of burn it so that we can use it for rotations. Just kind of looking around and also just going to kind of bounce off those D-pads. These are out of the game by now, but they were very, very nice when they were in the game. So we're rotating backside of this, slow side, right? Just like we said before, and looking at things. And right there, okay, you hear that noise?
Oh wait, that mountain? My bad. Oh.
You hear that noise right there? Whatever that is.
Oh wait, that mountain? My bad. Oh.
That sound signifies that there's 5 players left in the game. Anytime you hear that sound, that is people dying and it becoming like a significant amount of players. So look up towards the amount of players left whenever you hear that sound, because that can give you some information about what's going on in the game. These 2 people are just eliminated, which look like bots, to be honest. But now we know that there is a duo and a solo left because there's 5 total. We are 2. That means there are 3 others, which is a duo and a solo. And we hear gunshots going off right now. So that is go time. You hear gunshots going off and there's only 2 other teams in the game. You need to be in there ASAP. You want to be the last fight. You don't want to be second to last, but you want to be the last and you want to catch them while they're hurt, right? So that's what we're going to try to do here. Probably yelling at him like, let's go, let's go. They're fighting. We're just waiting, you know. Look, we see a knock. Jaws 213 knocked out I'm Vicious or whatever. Okay, that is go time for sure.
Yeah.
We're in. And now we're just looking at a position to set up a Porta Fort. Because my teammate has a Porta Fortress. He's going to lay it down. You see right here on my visual audio, I see footsteps as I'm jumping on this tire. Therefore, I got a quick bite that somebody was over in this area. Also, I knew a player was down, and I saw a guy fighting on this hill. So I know somebody's to our left right now. I can't get in this Porta Fort quick enough, and I just want to check on this guy really quick because I think he might be going for a res. And if we can catch him resing, that'd be wonderful. And look at that. We do. So this is awesome. I don't want to drop down here. I'm just going to go ahead and thirst his teammate. And now we got 2 solos. Us, a duo versus 2 solos. The only way we lose this game is if I drop down there and I get myself in a bad spot, I get hurt, or vice versa, right? If we take a series of 1v1s, then there's a very good chance we lose this game. I do want to eliminate this guy, but I don't want to put myself in danger doing it. Checking on my teammate really quick, and then I'm just going to go for the kill. Just LMG was great at this. He used to just blow out cover well. Boom. Now we got a 2v1.
Totally different guy on, but he has a better spot.
And I'm just going to put pressure on him with my teammate, and boom, that's game. So as you can see right there, that was all about positioning and timing, the rotation, and we win that game because we had good timing and good positioning, or good rotation actually, not great positioning. I mean, we did get in a good position to clean up, but the rotation was really important, and the timing, you know, to get in there when these last 2 teams were fighting. That is super important in endgame, is the timing of your attacks, right? If you don't want to start getting active when there's still like 6 or 7 or 8 players left, especially in solos, you don't want to get very very active. You want other people to fight, you want them to get hurt, keep yourself healthy, keep your equipment fresh. You know, if you start getting in a lot of fights, even if you get hurt, you're going to use a lot of your grapples, you're going to use a lot of your equipment, and then you're not going to have a lot for those final fights that really matter, you know, especially that very last fight that really matters. That's usually the sweatiest, because these are usually the best players left in the lobby, right? The people that survive this long are usually the best players, and you really want to make sure you're going into those fights with good health and good equipment. So yeah, guys, I hope that was helpful. Again, I'll reiterate that you got to keep everyone in front of you. Make sure that you check your back, your sides. If you have no one to your sides and you got no one to your back, then the game becomes very easy because everybody's in front of you, right? That makes the game so much easier when you know where everyone's at as well. Keeping track of your enemies is super important. Keeping track of how many players are left in the game. Knowing how many teams are left is super important so that you can push at the right time for that final fight. And then also, yeah, keeping good equipment, going in with the right equipment that matches the terrain, the type of place that you're going to fight at, because that's just really important. And a lot of times some of these equipment pieces are just always going to be beneficial, but other times, like, you know, if you end in an end zone that's like a city, you probably don't really need bunkers. If there's just a bunch of buildings and stuff that you're going to be fighting in anyways, go ahead, drop the bunkers and get something else, you know, get another piece of mobility so that you have 2 pieces of mobility, or get another piece of heals, whatever it is, or pick up that 3rd gun. These decisions can help you really win these end games. If you go into the end game with bad equipment, if you're carrying 3 guns, like a shotgun, a rifle, an SMG, and you've got like very little mobility and you've got like very little heals, you're probably not winning that game against good players, because you don't have enough mobility to get away, you don't have enough heals to heal up, and you're carrying basically a worthless gun, which would be that SMG, because you're not going to be taking those close range fights, or you shouldn't be taking those close range fights. It's much better to have an extra piece of utility so that you can basically avoid fighting for a while, or at least put yourself in a good position, etc. Right? So equipment, positioning, timing, rotations are all super important in the end game, and I hope that this video helped you. If it did, please leave a like on the video. It helps me out so much. And again, comment down below what you struggle with in the end game. We'd love to help you out. And also, if you feel like this video really helped you, or all of my other videos have really helped you, please consider using code TobyOneShinobi, just like my channel is spelled, TobyOneShinobi, in your Fortnite item shop. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day. Shinobi out.